He had nothing. No family nearby, no friends to lean on, just 2 suitcases, a broken accent, and a dream that America would give him a chance. But the very first man who held power over him, the landlord, called him poor, called him a nobody. And when he tried to ask for dignity in a place he called home, his landlord laughed in his face and told him, "Be grateful I even let you live here." Those words cut deep, but life has a strange way of turning insults into fuel, and David proved exactly that. When David arrived in the U.S., he landed in Detroit, not the glossy side shown in movies, but a side with boarded-up houses, graffiti-painted walls, and sirens echoing at night. It was tough. The kind of place where poverty wasn't just personal, it was woven into the streets. He found a small one-bedroom apartment in a crumbling building on the west side. The ceilings sagged, the stair railings shook, and roaches scattered when the lights came on. But rent was cheaper than anywhere else he could find, and it was all he could afford with his warehouse job. David thought he could endure it. After all, back home, he had survived much worse. But it was the way the landlord treated people that made it unbearable. The man everyone called the slumlord drove a shiny car, wore gold watches, and bragged about money. Yet his tenants, single mothers, immigrants, the elderly, lived in conditions no human being should endure. When the heat went out during a brutal Michigan winter, David went to the landlord's office pleading for repairs. The man looked at him, smirked, and said, "People like you should be grateful you even have a roof. You'll always be poor. Don't forget that." David walked away that day with tears in his eyes. But instead of breaking him, those words planted a seed. He whispered to himself, "One day, I'll show him." David's life in Detroit was hard. He worked graveyard shifts at the warehouse, hauling boxes until his back ached. In the mornings, he helped neighbors fix small things, patching leaks, changing light bulbs, and carrying groceries for the elderly woman next door. He saw the struggles of his community up close. Mothers choosing between paying rent or feeding their kids, children coughing from mold in their apartments, seniors wrapped in coats indoors because the heat never worked. Each act of kindness built trust. Each hardship fueled his determination. And through it all, David saved, dollar by dollar. He skipped meals, wore the same pair of shoes until the soles thinned, took on side jobs, fixing cars, mowing lawns, and cleaning offices on weekends. He wasn't just saving for himself. He was saving for a vision, though no one else could see it yet. Late at night, when his shift ended, he studied. Real estate books from the public library, free online classes about credit, mortgages, and ownership. He scribbled notes in a worn notebook, his eyes heavy, but his spirit alive. He reminded himself every night, poverty is not destiny, dignity is a right. Years rolled by. David moved into a slightly better apartment, but he never forgot the building he left behind. He drove past it often, watching the children still playing outside, their laughter masking the pain inside their homes. He remembered the cold nights, the broken promises, the insults from the slumlord. One evening, while scanning community listings, he saw it. The building was up for sale. His heart raced. Could it be possible? The same place where he was once humiliated was now within his reach? But there was a problem. The building was cheap, yes, but it needed repairs that scared most buyers away. Roofs leaked. Pipes burst. The heating system barely functioned. It was considered a liability. But David saw something else. He saw children who could finally sleep warm. He saw mothers who could finally feel safe. He saw his younger self arriving with 2 suitcases, desperate for a chance. And so, with every ounce of courage, he gathered his savings, secured a small loan, and made an offer. The day of closing, he walked into the office to sign papers. Across the table sat the slumlord, older now, but the same arrogant smirk on his face. When the papers slid across the desk, the landlord leaned back and said, "Guess you're the fool taking this headache off my hands." But David didn't flinch. He signed his name with steady hands, and when it was done, he finally looked the man in the eyes and said quietly, "You told me I'd always be poor. Today, I own this building." The room fell silent. The slumlord's smirk faded. For David, it wasn't about revenge. It was about redemption. Owning the building was just the beginning. The very next week, David brought in contractors. The heat was repaired, the roof was fixed, hallways were repainted, trash was cleared, roaches were exterminated. And for the first time in years, tenants felt human again. When the winter winds howled, warmth filled the apartments. Children laughed without shivering. Elders could finally rest without fear of falling on broken steps. David didn't raise the rent. He didn't evict struggling families. Instead, he treated his tenants like neighbors, not numbers. Word spread in the community. The man who once lived here is now the owner, and he cares. The same block once known for neglect now became a symbol of hope. David's story is more than a tale of success. It's a reminder that poverty should never be a life sentence, and that dignity is a human right, not a privilege reserved for the wealthy. Too often people are pushed into silence, treated as invisible simply because they don't have money. They are told to be grateful for scraps, told that they will always be poor. But poverty is not a reflection of someone's worth. It is the result of systems that deny equal opportunity, that profit from struggle, that keep whole communities on the margins. David's journey is proof that the walls built to confine us can also become the foundation of our strength. He turned humiliation into hope, and rejection into justice. His victory wasn't just personal. It was a victory for every tenant who had been ignored, every immigrant who had been dismissed, every family who had been told they didn't matter. So the next time someone dares to tell you that you'll never make it, remember David. Remember the man who was mocked for being poor, yet rose to own the very building where he once suffered neglect. If you believe that no human being should ever be denied respect, safety, and dignity because of their financial situation, like and share this story. Because every share is not just a click, it's a stand. A stand against injustice, a stand for dignity, a stand for human rights. And if you've ever been underestimated, let this story be your fire, because the greatest justice is not in fighting back with words. It is in proving with your life that you are worth more than the world ever gave you credit for.